Girl, you the man, and she love me when I'm in it, and she never be pretend.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the East Pod. I'm your host, Camille Cower, and I cannot wait to introduce to you my guest today. We're having a basement party theme, if you hadn't noticed, the blue. Uh, but I'm going to have Jackie's Boy is a Grammy song-winning writer, four-time Grammy-nominated songwriter, ASCAP Rhythm and Soul winner, 2010 Best Remix Recording with Madonna. Yes, the Madonna's Revolver, who has written hits for not only Madonna, but Justin Bieber, Lil Wayne, Charlie Wilson, and many, many more. I cannot wait to introduce to you. And without further ado, here is Jackie's Boy.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you
Hey,
for having me.
welcome. Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so glad that we were able to make this happen. So, how's everything going with you? What have you been up to?
Things have been well, all considering, during this COVID times, these crazy times. Family's been safe. I'm actually in my studio right now and, still just working and creating music.
That's fantastic. So, you're not just creating any old kind of music. You just had a new single that you're working on or that just released recently.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that, how that process came about as well?
Absolutely. Well,
We'll kind of work our way backwards.
Yeah, no worries. We can do that.
Yeah.
The song's called "Do It Again." It's featuring the legend Sean Stockman from the group Boys to Men. The song came about just in a really organic way. I reached out to him on Instagram and just said, "Hey, would you like to work together on a song?" And he said, "Absolutely." He remembered some of the work I did for Boys to Men prior to that. I had wrote on their I think it was the record back in 2016. And he remembered that and said, "Hey, yeah, let's definitely connect." He came to my studio in Los Angeles, and the next thing you know, a hit is formed, So it's dope.
How exciting was that to get to work with Boys to Men and on your first, because this is your first time having a single that's just.
Yeah. I mean, I've released one other single before,
Okay.
but this is my first major feature, like major release. So it's pretty surreal. I mean, to be honest with you, like I mean, I feel like you get no better than that. I mean, to get an OG like Sean and the group Boys to Men to be able to vouch you as an R&B artist, it hit you kind of different. It's a different kind of feel.
Right. Now let's go start from the beginning with you. How did
Yeah.
how did you get into the music business?
I got into the music business by being a street performer. I started busking in Savannah, Georgia, which is my hometown, and then I transitioned from there to Los Angeles at 19, 20 years old, and started out kind of just hitting the pavement, just basically setting up my tip box and singing and hoping that people would notice me.
Okay. What made you make that decision to like, okay, I've mastered Savannah. It's time for me to go make that big jump to LA over New York City. What was the connection there? Did you have one? Did you have
Yeah, I had a really
Okay.
one of my best friends. He's like a brother to me, Justin, a cat named Justin Holly, who told me about LA and would tell me all these amazing stories about Crenshaw and Sunset and all of these different things. And I grew up on Boys in the Hood and like those iconic tales of like Black life in Los Angeles, and I just wanted to experience it, and yeah, so he put the idea, but what really pushed it forward was the unfortunate passing of both my parents in 2003 and 2004, which really
Wow.
made me feel that, staying in Savannah probably wasn't the best route for me because it would just lead me into a road of depression and to never quite, getting past the loss. So I wanted to try something different, something completely new. I wanted to be in a place where nobody knew me.
Right.
And so I can kind of rebound or get some sense of normalcy to my life.
Wow. So how was that first year? Because LA can be a tough place, especially in the
Yeah.
entertainment industry. So how were you able to get to where you are now and get to work with all the wonderful people you've been able to work with?
I mean, the first year was I mean, it was hard. I mean,
Yeah.
hard would be, just a light statement. It was very, very, very difficult
Yeah.
to be able to go to a place where you know barely anyone, and for you to put yourself out there. I mean, I'll give you an example. For the first day I went out there, I made about $30, and I immediately, after 4 or 5 hours of singing, only $30. So you think you start to reevaluate, like, what is this the right thing for me?
Wait,
But
I just have
something.
to ask, what was it? What was your traditional? Because I don't know what to compare it to. So what was it like in Savannah? Like,
So Savannah, I would
yeah.
make anywhere from $400 to $800 over a weekend.
So that's a significant loss. Okay, got
Yeah.
it.
So
Okay, wow.
it could be $300 to $400 in a day. So to go to LA and at the pier in Santa Monica and make $35, I was like, okay, this
And the
isn't.
pier is a very busy place. Like that's
Yeah. So you started to question yourself, but then something deep inside me, and I believe it was my mother, I believe it was God also kind of telling me, like, yo, you didn't come this far to quit. You
right.
didn't come this far to pack it up and go home. So figure it out and make it happen. And the next day, I made like $300, $200 or $300. So that kind of gave me the mentality of like, what you put into it is what you'll get out of it.
Okay.
And that's just what very happened with these records. Over 5 years, it took 5 years to really get noticed in the music industry. And I met my manager at the time, Rachel Noel, who saw me singing on the pier and was like, hey, I think you have talent. And then followed up after that, an A&R from Atlantic Records saw me performing, and we ended up getting a meeting. The next thing you know, my first record comes out that I wrote, like literally 6 months after that meeting, and then it went number 5 on the Hot 100 charts, and that kind of changed the trajectory of my life.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So when you started working with songwriting, and how did you get to where you got to work with Madonna and Uncle Charlie and Justin
Yeah.
Bieber? Like,
Well, yeah, well, interesting. What that meeting started it all. So that meeting I had at Atlanta Records, the first artist, he said, "Hey, well, I have an artist that is doing very well. His name is Flo-rida, and we're looking for another follow-up single for him."
mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was familiar with like a few of Flo-rida songs, but
Right.
he said, "Hey, I'm going to put you in the studio for I think the session was only for maybe an hour or so." And I had very little time, because remember, I'm coming off the street, so I'm not referred to by someone who's like this big guy. I'm not friends with the in crowd, so to speak. So I'm kind of a loner. So he didn't give me very much time to show off my stuff, but I thank God that he did, because what I did was I wrote the song in 30 minutes, and the next thing you know, the song was on the radio and basically changed the course of everything. And then the guy.
What was
A song called Sugar, featuring Winter Gordon, by Flo-rida.
Okay.
Yeah. So that started it, and then obviously you build relationships. People start to realize who you are.
Yeah.
And then I wrote this demo called Revolver, and it was just a demo. It wasn't attached to any artist or anything. And at the time, I sent the record to Rihanna. I sent it to Pussycat Dolls. I sent it to various different artists, and they all passed. And the guy at the record label said, "Hey, I want to send it over to Madonna's manager and Guy Osiri." So he heard the record, and he followed up in like 20 minutes after the email was sent that said, "Lyrics, please." And that's how we kind of knew, that we had something. And that was my second official placement, out the gate. So that really changed the course of everything.
Now, when you first heard your song on the radio, what was that feeling like? Whether it was with Flo-rida or Madonna, like.
Yeah. It was scary.
Okay.
In the sense of like scary, because I did something that people was gonna hear and like, but also judge, but also like, you know what I'm saying? There's like this weird thing of like where you fit in. And I, in the beginning of my career, I used to question myself all the time, like, am I good enough? Am I, is this worthy? And when that came out, it was scary for the first one. And then after that, I began to really like kind of own the fact that it's a gift to do what I do, and I'm honored to be able to do it, and that God has given me this gift.
Now, what's the like internal dialogue that you have now to kind of get over that fear or just, I guess, push through it? Because so many people, myself included, like you have these moments of self doubt. So I'm curious, how do you kind of amp yourself up to be able to just do it?
For me, I look at the things that I've done.
Mhm.
I look at the how far I've came, and every time I bet on myself, I've won big time. So it's not. So I look back at all the times when, hey, when I was scared to leave Georgia, and I overcame that. I was scared to get on the pier and sing, and I overcame that. I was scared to write my first song and have it released. I came over that. So now I kind of just take ownership of understanding that I am who I am, and if people don't like it, that's cool with them too. But I don't need people's validation as much as I needed it in the beginning.
Mhm. I mean, people can't see it so well now because we're in the blue room.
Yeah.
But behind his shoulder is a very prominent
Oh, those little
Billboard
things.
award.
Oh,
Wait, 2 awards. Like
those little
before.
things.
What? Wait, what? What both of those
No,
again?
that actually to there is to the right of me is my Flo-rida first. That's my first plaque for Sugar that I did, and then this one over here is the one I did for Charlie Wilson, Unblessed, #1 gospel, #1 R&B. Yeah.
And I love that song.
Thank you.
It's a great hype song too.
Thank you. It
So
is.
I
It
was
is.
wondering if you got hyped to your own music.
It is. No, I do. I listen to that song when I feel like my day is not going the way I want it to,
Mhm.
that those lyrics still resound to me.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So, what is your process like as far as writing? Since, I mean, you were put in the studio, only given pretty much 30 minutes to write Flo-rida, but when you're at your optimal point where you get to kind of choose how would you like to make your song?
Well, for me, I'm a melody guy, so I
Okay.
love melodies. I love creating melodies first. I believe that's how people kind of retain a song, and whether they like it or not, they go by the melody, and then lyrics kind of follow. So
Okay.
I'll go in and I'll start laying melodies, and then from there I'll put on lyrics, and then from there I just kind of just dress it up as it goes. But I'm definitely a stickler for great melodies and great infectious kind of sticky melodies that you can't get out your head.
Understandable. Now, what was your musical background? Like, what did you study? Any instruments or like, how did that part come in?
I play piano a bit. Nothing worth like showcasing, but I had to learn it to get around because in the beginning nobody would just give me beats. I had to begin to figure it out on my own and kind of become my own producer, so to speak, to get the ideas out. So yeah. But as far as like uh, formal background, like no, it's just all kind of self taught.
Oh, wow. Now, what you have a new album coming out?
Mm-hmm.
Your single, I'll actually show a little bit of it. I'll go ahead and put that up. So it
Hey,
is out now.
hey, it's out now.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
How excited are you about having this new? Now you're being the center as far as like you're not just behind the scenes
Yeah,
writing, but
yeah.
how does all of this feel for you? What are your goals with it? What do you?
My goal is to just be able to connect with people in a deeper way. I feel so blessed to see people like my songs or love my songs even and say, yo, like this song really helped me. And I think my vocals and my talent is just a continuation of that.
Mhm.
And also too, I think it's a personal thing too. I had a tumor in my jaw, my right jaw, in 2017. I was diagnosed with this crazy rare tumor called a mieloblastoma, which was basically a tumor that ate away bone and facial tissue. So it was pretty scary because I've never had anything like that, ever had any serious major illnesses in my life. So, I went to a, surgeon and he was telling me, hey, this is going to take you, years to recover.
Mm.
And if that, you may not be able to get voice back the way you wanted to, or even your speaking voice. So I'm hearing all of these different things of like, yo, like this could be the end for you. And I went and got a second opinion and went to a different specialist in Miami actually. And the surgeon said, hey, you know what? I've dealt with these many a times. I think we can be able to help. And by the grace of God, I was recovered full on in 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so they removed my right jaw from here to here and replaced it with a titanium plate. So it's pretty crazy how advanced medicine and just surgeries are. It was a 7-hour surgery, but after getting out of that, I told God and I told myself, like, I'm not going to play around with my talent anymore in the sense of me actually showcasing it. Because I would always kind of downplay it. I would downplay the fact that I could, sing, or that I have aspirations to do music. But when I came out of that surgery, I hit the ground running and realized, like, yo, this is a time for me to really take this seriously. And I've been doing that ever since.
Oh, that's amazing. Wow. I can't even imagine being a singer and being told such detrimental news as like you'll never be able to sing again, talk again. And then thankfully you went to another doctor. But what was the recovery process even for that? Like, did you have to do physical therapy in order?
Yeah. Well, surprisingly, I didn't. Like,
Okay.
all the things that he told me was going to happen to me, I was like this rare case. He told me, like, I was supposed to have a second surgery where they were going to have to do a bone graft or stem cell replacement, where they would have to create bone where there's no bone. And I came back for a follow-up, and the doctor was like, you are, a very different, patient, because your bone has grown back on its own.
Wow.
Like, so we don't need to do a second surgery anymore. So you're done.
Yeah.
And I'm like blown away. So that whole process, even in those 3 months of recovery, I could barely speak. My mouth was swollen. My whole face was swollen. And slowly but surely, the swelling went down, and I began to fully use my mouth in full mobility at about like the second month. But there was a lot of cheeseburger milkshakes and a lot of soup and a lot of things. Oh my gosh, it was so disgusting.
Wait, cheeseburger milkshakes. Ugh.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't fully.
Oh, when you're desperate,
Yeah.
you will try anything. I mean, I miss the taste of the way you don't realize how important things are until you don't have them. And using your mouth and the way you speak and the way you eat and chew and talk, when you don't have it anymore, you're like, oh my gosh, like, you go crazy. So my wife did some really interesting things to keep me happy and feed me. Like I said, hence the cheeseburger milkshakes, but that's the whole thing.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't remember what sitcom they made the joke about it, eating cheeseburger milkshake. So that's the visual that went through my head. Like, wait,
oh yeah,
had to do that. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm very excited about your album. I'm like, when will your album drop? Any plans on any other singles coming out?
Yeah, actually, thank you for asking. The album will be, I'm working on it now. It's going to be set to release in the fall.
Okay.
So super excited about that. It is R&B to the fullest. I created a record label, started a record label with my partner Daryl Johnson, and where our vision is to bring R&B music back to the forefront. So our label is called Big Circle Music Group, which is dedicated to the progression of R&B only. We, much respect to other genres, but we do R&B here, and our vision is to make it bigger and better than ever. And so that'll be the next thing, is to release the album in the fall. But then also I'm working on a Black Lives Matter mixtape.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I'm super excited about it. The first single will hopefully be released within the next month.
Okay.
I actually have the amazing CeCe Peniston on a record with me. So we're super excited about it, and so many more surprises on this mixtape.
Wait, you got to hear it first. CeCe Peniston is going to be back in the building. That's amazing. I'm trying to think what song of hers that I used to love so much. Oh, I can't think of it.
Finally was her really
Finally, that's the one.
Hit. Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear me sing during music. I was gonna try to hum it, and then I was like, wait, I'm in front of a Grammy winner who's worked with just some of the best vocals.
No, you're good. You're good. I have a theory that anybody can sing. Anybody can sing if you. It's like a muscle, right? Anything that you work out, it's going to get bigger. It's going to get stronger. So your voice is the same way. So everybody can sing. It's just how much work and time you want to put into it.
Okay, well, you hadn't heard me sing, but that's fine. Maybe I can. Who knows? For whatever reason, because this app has been crazy, it won't let me make comments. So I just kind of posted it where people can see where they can follow you on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter. It's at Jackie's Boy. And because it's such an interesting name, I do want to make sure that you do at least tell them where the name Jackie's Boy stems from. Because
absolutely.
Kind of obvious, but just in case.
Just in case, right? Yeah, no. There was this beautiful, beautiful woman who had a heart of gold and who believed in her children so much. Her name was Jackie Battey, and that's my mother. And when she passed away, I wanted to find a way to honor her the best way possible. So, and my best way is through my music. So she's always believed in me and always strived for me to want to do better and be the best that I can be. So the idea is, when you see me, you see Jackie's Boy.
Oh, that's so sweet. I think every mother would love that, knowing that, because, sometimes the last thing a son or a child wants to hear is, oh, that's blah, blah, blah's boy. Like you don't have a name of your own, your own identity. And for you to just like embrace it in the sense that everything that you are is because of her as well. It's really a good honor, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so appreciative of everything you have going on. And thank you so much for spending your time with me today. And
of course,
I don't know if there's anything else you would like to share, because feel free. This is your time to share.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to you. I love your show. Thank you for having me. Like, you doing big things, Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you. And I think these conversations that you're having with people, it's just so natural and down to earth, and just keep doing it.
Oh, thank you. And please keep me posted on the Black Lives Matter remix that you're doing as well. Because, musicians have such a way of humanizing things and making people more aware of what's going on in a way that's palatable. So changes can really happen. And, I'm actually going to be moderating this talk right after this about Wilmington on Fire. And one thing I learned from watching that documentary is that media had a way of dehumanizing Black folks in a way where it was so easy to close your eyes and not pay attention, or want to see them not treated as equals. And so with music and media, you guys have people invite you into their homes, they're listening to you, like you said, melody, it's just natural. And so you have that strength, and just seeing that you're doing something so positive with it. I'm just so
I agree. It's infectious. I think that we for me, I'm not the speaker per se, I'm not going to do a lecture for 30 minutes, but I will speak to you in song. And there's actually a song I love for you and your fans to check out. I did a rendition of Marvin Gaye's "What's Going On," and my wife actually did the editing for this video. We took some amazing pictures from across this country and what's happening, and in the pandemic that's happening in our community, with the many Black men and Black women who are losing their lives at the hands of police. So we can definitely check that out when you guys get a chance. I
saw it on your Instagram. I couldn't repost it because it was more than 30 seconds, or I don't know, whatever I had. What let me do it. But it's on your Instagram, and it's amazing.
It's on my Instagram. It's on my
it's on
YouTube as well.
Okay, I'll actually play it a little bit as we're going out, so people can hear it, because I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you.
Yeah, since it won't let me type anything, I was like, I'll just sit back and relax. So I'm just glad that it's showing you, because yesterday, I don't even want to say it because I'm scared it'll start back. But so again, thank you so much for being a part of this, and I'm going to have it bring that on. Okay. All right. Like, let me stop before Facebook decides to cut us off anyway. I just wanted to make sure I said thank you. That song is beautiful.
Thank you.
So glad you brought it up because I saw it on your Instagram, but I didn't even think to post it for
Thank
everyone
you.
else to see because that is amazing. And thank you again for being my guest. I look forward to seeing more great hits coming from
Absolutely.
Boy.
Absolutely.
We need new music and
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And I will be back if you have me.
oh, come on back anytime, right? Especially
All
when
right.
the album comes out so we can support it and show it love. So thank you again for being my guest today.
Anytime. Thank you.
All right. You have a
Take
good
care.
day. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.